What's going on, guys? Radio Graffiti here, and today I want to talk to you guys about Daredevil Season 2. Before Born Again releases this week, I wanted to get this hot take that I have out there. Now, typically when you discuss Daredevil online, everyone's like, it's a masterpiece, the show's fantastic, but Season 2 is the weakest. Season 1 and Season 3 are masterpieces. And that's typically how a lot of people feel when it comes to Daredevil. But I've never really been able to relate to that. I love Daredevil. I think this show is a masterpiece. It's one of my favorite TV shows ever. But just for me personally, I've always thought Season 2 is my favorite. And I'd like to explain just why I love Season 2 so much. Just from Episode 1, I love how much they hype up the Punisher. And that's pretty much all Episode 1 is. It's just them like, yo, there's this gang of rivals that are wiping out everybody. What are we going to do about this? And by the end of the episode, you get that fantastic line about, no they, just him, it's one man. And then it cuts to Frank walking in the hospital with a damn gun right under his arm. That shit was so fucking cold, man. I love the way they introduced the Punisher in the show. It's so badass. And then they end the episode with Matt fighting Frank. And they hype up Frank so much. You just think he's so cool. And he doesn't even say anything the entire episode until the very end when he says, bang. And then he pops Daredevil on the head and he falls off a roof. Episode 2, we get another badass fight with Matt Murdock versus the Punisher. Even the people who maybe aren't as big of fans of Season 2 as I am, everyone always admits, yeah, the Punisher stuff was the best part about the entire season. And it really shows in these first 4 episodes. I think the first 4 episodes of Season 2 are some of the best episodes of the entire series. It's definitely the best 4-episode run of the entire series. Episode 3, we get another iconic hallway fight. I love how they're always able to match the hallway fights every season of Daredevil. Like Season 1, Season 2, and Season 3, they're all equally fantastic, and it seems like they're always able to kind of find a way to up the stakes or do something different in the next season. I love the hallway fights in Daredevil. It's just fantastic. The only problem I have with Episode 3 is the cringy Foggy scene. You get those criminals in there trying to kill each other in the hospital, and Foggy talks them down. I just thought that was extremely cringe. I get it. Foggy's whole thing is he's able to kind of talk his way out of things or talk people down, and that's kind of his specialty in the show. That's how he's able to keep up with Matt. He's kind of like Tyrion Lannister in Game of Thrones. He just has, the sharp tongue that allows him to get himself out of situations. And then Matt's the one that will beat your ass. But I don't know, I just found this part extremely cringe. But that's okay, because we get one of the best parts of the entire series, in my opinion. And one that gets discussed a lot when discussing Daredevil. Frank and Matt going back and forth on the rooftop, where Daredevil is chained up and Frank's going back and forth with him about their ideologies. And the great part about this is I feel like I can see where both sides are coming from. I don't really think either side is wrong. Like, I agree with Frank that, these pieces of shit, at some point they need to be put down. But I also can kind of see Matt's side where he thinks, give people a chance to redeem themselves. So it's kind of a sticky conversation. I love the way they handle Matt's no-killing rule and how he truly believes in it. And how Frank and Elektra test him on that throughout the season. And then Episode 4 is just where it just makes you fucking cry, man. We get that scene with Frank and Matt talking at the cemetery. And as a father myself, I found this scene just extremely emotional. I'll admit, I cried on the rewatch. I mean, he's just sitting there talking about seeing his little girl when he came home. He went to her class, and then the night before she died, she begged him to read her a bedtime story, and he told her no. He's too tired. And the way he describes seeing her dead body with meat spilling out of her, it's just extremely graphic. They didn't even need to show anything. Just the way he describes it paints this image in your head of just how horrific his family's death was. How traumatizing that can be to somebody. Because I feel like, as a parent, your worst nightmare is having to bury your children. So the fact that Frank had to go through that in such a horrific, tragic way, with them just being slaughtered in a park. I mean, good lord. This scene is just so emotional and just powerful. I love how the show takes a moment from Matt Murdock beating the shit out of criminals to just take like 5 minutes to hear Frank just talk. And it's equally as investing and interesting. After seeing them fight each other for the past 3 episodes, seeing them be able to team up and kind of have some sort of understanding in this episode. Like I said, one of the best 4 episodes of the entire series. And then that's where we get introduced to Elektra, which is where a lot of people feel like the show kind of dips in quality. But I really like Elektra. I think, personally, Elektra and Matt have one of the most interesting superhero romances I've ever seen in live action, which isn't really a high bar, because I feel like typically they just kind of throw two hot people together and say, oh, you guys want to see these people together, right? You know, I look at Thor and Jane in the Thor movies, or Superman and Lois Lane in the Snyder movies, Steve and Peggy in the Captain America movie. I mean, there's just so many examples where I feel like it's just kind of I don't really care if you guys get together. It kind of just feels like a waste of time. Where with Matt and Elektra, I really feel like I wanted to see them sort of succeed. I really bought their chemistry. Elektra's a very sexy, seductive, fun, bad bitch with a French accent. She's kind of like that extremely hot girl who's way out of your league and she's so much fun to be around. Sure, she's a little bit crazy. She damn near has an orgasm when Matt is beating the shit out of somebody, but, you know, I can overlook that. I also really found the whole Reyes rivalry with Karen and Foggy to be pretty interesting as well. Kind of gives them something to do throughout the season while Matt's beating the shit out of people. And it's kind of tragic the way Reyes goes out. She just gets completely slaughtered by bullets, fearing for her daughter's life. It's like, yeah, I knew she was a piece of shit, but damn, man, that's brutal. One of the best parts of the show's rating, they're able to go there. I mean, she just gets ripped to shreds. Frank Castle gets a lot of badass moments all throughout the season. Even after the first 4 episodes, we get Frank versus Wilson Fisk. It's just so cool seeing these two antagonists of the season butting heads. You know, Wilson Fisk is the main antagonist for season 1 and season 3, and for season 2, Frank is basically the antagonist for Matt. I know he's not like a villain, but he's still an antagonist for Daredevil. So it's just so cool seeing these two characters interact. I also really love the scene in prison where Frank just completely slaughters a bunch of inmates who try to kill him. I mean, he just stabs the shit out of them, and he's got this bloody Punisher skull on his chest. This dude is just so badass. We also get the diner scene where Frank, yet again, stabs the shit out of people and just brutally murders them, which is always entertaining to watch. But Frank's not the only one who gets a lot of cool shit to do in this season. We also get an episode showing us Wilson Fisk's rise to power. We see him as soon as he comes into the prison from Daredevil season 1 and how he kind of rises to the top in prison. And we also get one of my favorite scenes of the season, Matt versus Fisk in prison. I love how Matt just kind of tries to bait Fisk with Vanessa. He's just throwing out a bunch of shit to see if he snaps. And then he gets what he wants. A little too much. I don't know if he expected him to, beat the shit out of him. And then the dialogue between these two, it's just extraordinary. Speak her name again. Go ahead. And then he's just telling them, ask the inmates in here. They'll deny it. Just showing us how powerful Wilson Fisk really is, even in prison. But they don't make that an entire thing for the season. It's just for a few episodes. And it's kind of just showing you that even if you do get Wilson Fisk in prison, it's not really going to matter. I think it was a really good decision for this season to have Wilson Fisk sort of just in the background. He doesn't have to be a main player, but you can still acknowledge that he exists. Now, one of the main reasons people dislike season 2 is because of the hand thing. I'm not going to sit here and try to pretend it's some sort of groundbreaking storytelling that's shattered the world and that everyone is just overlooking its genius. I didn't really think it was that bad for people to act like it's such a huge quality dip or anything. Like I said, I think Elodie Young, the actress who plays Elektra, helps carry a lot of the scenes with her and Matt's chemistry. And Matt, he's just a slut, man. Like, he goes to visit his old boo, Claire. He hooks up with Karen. And he damn near hooks up with Elektra as well. But unfortunately for Matt, his baddie with the French accent gets killed. So he kind of is just like, hey Karen, my bad bitch died, so I guess I'll just be with your boring ass. And that's how the season ends. The Hand is basically just all set up for the Defenders TV show. But as for season 2 itself, I didn't really mind the whole hand stuff. If any season is the weakest of Daredevil, personally for me, I feel like it's season 3. I feel like season 3 kind of runs into repeating a lot of the same things we already seen in Daredevil season 1. Like, oh, well, instead of Wilson Fisk controlling the police, now he controls the FBI. Kind of already been there, done that with the whole Fisk controls everybody. We gotta bring him down. Just a lot of very familiar story beats here. And say what you want to about season 2, but the whole season is basically just Punisher and Elektra trying to push Matt to break his no-killing rule, trying to make him understand that a lot of people are just pieces of shit and need to be wiped away. Season 1 and Season 3 is basically just Matt Murdock trying to bring down Wilson Fisk, who has corrupted the city. Which isn't, a terrible thing or anything. It's just, I love every season of Daredevil, but if I had a gun to my head and was told, hey, name some weaknesses with Daredevil Season 3, I'd say, well, I don't really like how Season 3 kind of just feels like a repeat of Season 1. Also, I think Poindexter sort of becomes a one-dimensional character as soon as he gets a Daredevil suit. He's basically just a one-dimensional Wilson Fisk minion, where I feel like before that he was a more complex character. And then after he gets a Daredevil suit and murders people at the Bulletin, all of a sudden he's just like, yeah, I'll do whatever Mr. Fisk says. I'm just his loyal little henchman now. And then he kind of snaps out of it at the finale when he finds out he had something to do with Julie being killed. And it can get a little bit boring with Matt spending the first 3 or 4 episodes just hiding in a church, wanting to die. He's trying to recover from having a building falling on him in Elektra at the end of The Defenders. Another little nitpick I have with Season 3 is I feel like the Karen episode is kind of boring. Even upon rewatch, I thought, it's a drag. I thought that upon my initial watch as well. Didn't really care for the Karen episode. It's also very jarring how they spend literally half the episode going over Karen's backstory. Then the other half, it's about Bullseye and Daredevil fighting in the church. Also, side note, Nadim's wife, she's kind of a bitch. All the hate Skylar White gets in Breaking Bad, I feel like Nadim's wife should get. She's just a completely insufferable cunt. It's like no matter what Nadim does, she's always like, Sammy will never look at you as anything other than a failure. She just always got something extremely bitchy and negative to say. I know Nadim is kind of an idiot here and there, but Jesus Christ, woman, you're his wife. Can you try being a little bit more supportive or positive? Let me see you go through the shit he went through. Let's see you witness somebody being murdered right in front of you and then being told, hey, if you don't do what we say, we're going to frame you for this. Let's see what you would do. I mean, what did you expect him to do? She already fucked up a lot, like driving Dex to go to the church to murder people. I'm not saying Ray Nadim is innocent here. I'm just saying his wife was a complete bitch. So yeah, in my opinion, I feel like Season 3 is the weakest season of Daredevil, but picking the weakest season of Daredevil is difficult because I love every season of Daredevil. I think this show's a masterpiece, but I'm just saying, guys, I personally feel like Season 3 is the weakest. And everybody's always dick riding Season 3 like it's some kind of a masterpiece, which that's fine if that's how you feel, but personally for me, I don't really feel that way. I feel like it could be kind of slow at times, and yeah, sort of just a rehash of Season 1. So for me personally, I think Daredevil Season 2 is the best season. Season 1 is good as well. It can kind of get into the sort of origin story sort of feel, where it's kind of a little bit slower and has to kind of explain everything to you and kind of have to introduce, all these characters and what this and that means. But yeah, Daredevil Season 2, I think it's the best season of Daredevil. Just want to get that out there before Born Again releases this week. So what do you guys think? Have I convinced you even just a tiny little bit that maybe Season 2 isn't as bad as everyone else tries to make it seem like it is? Or maybe you disagree. Maybe you think Season 3 or Season 1 is better. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. I hope you guys enjoy the video, and I will see you guys next time.